Welcome people to Real Tuff Talk. I'm Stephen J, here with my partner Ghost, and we're here to talk to you about week 6/week 7 of the UFL. We actually had 10 games this week, very exciting.
A lot of big games on Saturday.
Exactly, so let's give you a few, highlights, few talks about each game. Like I said, bear with us, it's 10 games we gotta talk about. We're gonna try to be as brief as possible while still trying to give our audience the feel that y'all used to from the Real Tuff Talk. First game we're gonna talk about is Hunts Point versus Black Stallions. We didn't expect this game to be close, but it ended up being a very close game.
It went down to the wire at the end.
Actually, Michael/Ghost last week put in a missing persons report on Dak. And it worked because Dak actually showed up this week. It was quarterback.
And for the whole first half, he was in there, and he produced. I can't say that he didn't, but will that be enough to end this game with a win? We'll talk about that now.
Well, as you can see, you may not know, he came in, a little rusty, but Fire was able to throw a touchdown pass actually to his backup quarterback, Clark. Clark's been consistent and been doing so much for this team.
And he's been doing it on both sides of the field, as well as throwing the ball for them. So he's a definite all-star. Let's just say that now.
This team owes a lot to his game. But unfortunately, I guess they didn't feel he was actually ready. Speaking of that we see towards the end of the game, Clark was quarterbacking. Now, don't you think this kills a 14-year-old kid's confidence to have him start the game but not finish it?
Yeah, I think it shows that you're uncertain with him, and you're not really too trusting of his game as of yet. So it's kind of, distracting for a quarterback to say, well, am I starting, am I not, and it may hurt them at the end of the day.
And then he can't play any other position. So it's not like he's still warm, he's still doing something similar to Clark. Once this kid is out as quarterback, he's out. They don't have anything else for him to do. So I think this team has a lot of problems. They're able to win this game 13-12, which is a big blow to Black Stallions, because obviously this Hunts Point is not established at quarterback, and you would think that Black Stallions would jump on that, but they was only able to score 12 points.
But in all honesty, if you look at their record and look at their track record throughout the season, they've been uncertain. They've been, sketchy from the beginning to end. Like they had, they started off okay, and then they had a three game losing streak. They pick up one now, and then But my point is, they've been sketchy, and that shows that the quarterback position is really what's affecting the team. If this quarterback position is sketchy, then their team is sketchy.
And now, like we talk about the Black Stallions, and they're inconsistent. They get a fiery team, they stick together, but then during the game, it looks like they're lost. And then they come back aboard, and then they look lost again. So I don't understand what's really going on with this team right now. They're 3-3 after this loss with 2 games remaining. And we don't know where this team is going right now. So, they're unestablished quarterback. They had a quarterback throw today. Tito was able to throw, and it just doesn't seem like this team know who they are yet. So, we got to sit down and watch. They only have 1 week left. They have 2 games remaining, and I think the final 2 games will show where this team's going to be in the playoffs. Hunts Point got to figure out who's their starter. They got to decide, is it Dak, is it Clark, and whoever you're going to go with, you got to stay with. Because putting one guy in, putting that guy out, we already know. The great saying is, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
Okay.
So actually, we got to see what's going to happen with this team. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be the LPAC Animal Planet game. LPAC has been considered one of the top teams in the East. They're coming off of a loss to Reckless last week. And they turned it around well. Moses was kind of lights out this game. LPAC was able to win 20-0. Animal Planet is still struggling. What's going on with Animal Planet, man? This is a team you used to talk about. What happened?
Like I said, they're not a horrible team like I said before. It's just, one, they changed their quarterback.
Again.
They changed it. I remember Phil quarterbacking, and now it's, if I'm right, it's number 50.
Number 50. We don't even
I don't know
his name.
But
based on his stats this week, He don't need to have a name. He
No.
don't want nobody to know who he is. That's how bad he looks. So thank God he didn't write his name down to give us the stats. So now we're gonna just call him the Invisible Man because that's how he looked for the game.
Pretty much. All he did was give stats to the other team. He threw 3 interceptions.
Exactly.
And I don't understand, like, why would you, the guy, number 18, Phil, wasn't really, helping you win. But at the same time, why downgrade from that?
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. The only person I see emerging every game is Storm.
Exactly.
And it sucks for him because how can you win with a team that's late every game?
He has to make a phone
Every week
call.
he has to call his team, and they don't live far from the field, but they're late every game. How can you win with a team that's not really determined to be there on time, let alone play hard?
I got respect for Storm. I mean, for him, he could play with a lot of teams. Dude is talented. He won his own team. He brought him in the league, and he don't really have anybody that's helping him.
I mean, he's a definite all-star for this team. He's definitely there. And it sucks that he's the only one emerging as an all-star in this team so far, a definite one. But, they're 0-6.
And then we're gonna get to LPAC. LPAC was able to play well. If you look at this play right there, Swagger, another great defensive play. He's actually up there for Defensive Player of the Year. He's definitely an all-star pick. And then if you look down, Moses had a great game. And I actually heard that he even threw very well in LES. So I think your criticism last week, talking about, he hasn't impressed me, actually lit a fire. And now he's looking like the quarterback that people thought he was going to be this season.
I mean, I would say this. The way Animal Planet played, this was like practice for them. Some of the guys already know that. But at the same time, this is a confidence builder. This is something that you need going forward. So I'm not going to take too much away from Moses. He played well. This is how he's supposed to play. It's not like, you get an award for playing this way. This is your job. This is your 9 to 5. This is how you're supposed to perform.
Well, we seen Herman finally get into the end zone, and we got to see a little salsa dance. If you see it right now, unfortunately, we have people walking in front. But he was able to do his little salsa dance.
Finally, after how many
we've been
weeks?
waiting.
Yes.
This is week 7. Finally, we get to see the Herman salsa. You know what I mean? Finally, a.k.a. Victor Cruz. So we was kind of happy to see that finally. And like I said, LPAC, they came in. They knew this was the team they had to beat. They had to beat early, and they did that. Moses had an interception. Danny had an interception. Chi had an interception. Chi finally back, finally healthy. Even Eric, the guy we've been killing all season, talking about one hit wonder last year, he was able to score and also make a big hit. So I think this team is starting to heat up right on time.
And the thing is, they're a team that I knew had potential. If they play at this level every week, they would virtually be unstoppable. And I've been saying it. They haven't impressed me, especially when I said to Moses, but if he plays like this, that'll actually change my mind. That's all I asked for.
Well, this is the, right now, they have 2 games left. They got MVR, the number 2 seed in the West, and then they got Ball So Hard, the number 7 seed in the West. So they can actually end the season well. They can end the season maybe going as high as a 2 seed. But it depends on them. They got to come out with the same fire. They got a game versus MVR in LES at 9 o'clock. Then they're coming to the UFL to play MVR again and then play Ball So Hard. So this team better get their rest on Friday. Save the drinking at home. One of y'all guys that don't be waking up, that get a little too much drinking the night before, make sure you get your rest because you're going to need it because your playoff lives depend on this week. Very, very important. So we're going to just see what happens after that. Next game we have MVR versus Underrated. This game was expected to be a blowout. That's what I expected it. But I got to give Underrated their props. Underrated lost this game 6-0. MVR beat them 6-0. But for Underrated to hold MVR 3 teams in 1 to 6 points, I think that shows the type of team MVR is, to how they play down to their competition, and how Underrated actually has a team that's to be reckoned with come playoff time.
But like I said, I've spoken for Underrated, all season. But one thing that kills me is they don't produce when it matters. They could have taken this game.
Yeah.
They could have taken this game. This would have been the upset to talk about in this league. And this could be a precursor to the playoffs. So this was a huge game to win. This is a great time to win the game against a big 2-seed team.
Well, once again, you see Fred struggle early. You know, he wasn't able to complete certain passes. You know, and I don't know. I think it's because Fred is throwing in too many leagues. You know, I think maybe he should slow it down because I think he's going to end up throwing his arm out. He's a young guy, young quarterback. He already got championships on his belt. But you got to know eventually your body just can't take it anymore. So I think he needs to slow down because as you can see, they scored 12 points against Newbury. And now they scored 6 points against Underrated. And you can't be talking about we're the championship team and we're ready for anybody and we're going to do this and do that and only score 6 points.
Well, to speak for Underrated, like, you know, I like their team that, you know, should be talked about a little bit more. But a thing about them is they shoot themselves in the foot the majority of the time. Like the last week when they played the Browns, you know, they were complaining about traction on the field and stuff like that. It was hard to run. But then their guys was dropping passes, you know. The feet is one thing, but you gotta catch the ball. And it doesn't help your quarterback if you're dropping passes. Now here, their whole offense didn't produce. Sniper wasn't able to make any passes, you know, properly. He had a couple of completions, but they were not able to get in the end zone. And on that, you get on the whole offense because their defense are doing their job. They have a hard game to play against MVR. The team is deep, their team is stacked, and they held them to 6 points. Give them a break. You know, you gotta produce. And this was a game to win that they didn't.
I mean, MVR just gotta know they gotta step their game up. I mean, they did. The defense was able to help out the offense. If you look here by this big interception by Macho, you know, the defense basically were able to step up and help out the MVR offense.
I mean, one person that should get the play of the game was Macho because he really saved in this game. He outside a touchdown, the very touchdown that helped them win this game.
Yeah, if you look at the play right here, great blocking. Great blocking to buy Fred time, and Fred ended up finding Macho in the corner to put them up for the score. I mean, I got to give the props to Underrated, man. I've been killing this team all year. And for them to lose this game 6-0 to a number 2 seed shows props to them. I still think they lack a big-time receiver. As you see, Ryan Starr went out and got one in Kill Bill. Now they got a downfield threat. Underrated needed to do the same thing to go get a player that's going to help impact this game because now they're going to struggle. And now we're about to start the playoffs. We got 1 more week left. And right now, Underrated is considered to be between the 5th, 4th, and the 3rd seed. So, I mean, it's going to hurt them in the playoffs and not have a real big-time receiver. And MVR, I mean, the team is inconsistent. And I would say the whole UFL league offense has been inconsistent this year. We haven't seen anybody put up a lot of points consistently. So I think the defense did well this year, and I think it was based on the new blitz decision and stuff like that. But I think the offense really, really struggled this year. All around. That goes for the Browns. That goes for MVR, LPAC, YMM. We haven't had anybody stand out and say, you know what? I got the top offense. We can score on anybody. So I think that determines. Let's see if that goes into the playoffs. You know, MVR is supposed to be a top team, and I think Orlando has to do his job. A lot of people question his Coach of the Year award. They say he doesn't really coach his team. He doesn't really control his team. He's just a figurehead. And I can see right now he has problems because if this team does not at least go to the championship, it was a loss for the season. You didn't come here to go and just get into the playoffs. They lost the championship last year. They revamped their team. They went out, got players like D-Boy. You know, they got Norman to consistently play. You know, they got these guys. They got Yomi from the Violet, from Replacements. Yeah. They got guys that they're supposed to take them to the next level, and I don't think they was able to do it. So right now, this team needs to get their act together, which is what I said last week. They need to figure out what they're going to do and do it because they don't have a championship killer mentality.
Let's just say this game right here is a bad win.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of times where you can say that, but here, this is a bad win. This is not a way you want to win the game.
So right now we're going to go to our first commercial. You know, we're going to show a few pictures here and there, and we'll be right back after this. The next game we're going to talk about here was Ball So Hard versus Black Stallions. Ball So Hard was able to, Black Stallions was able to win this game 26-20. I can say one thing. Ball So Hard was able to get Mike Santos in rhythm today. You know, he was able to move the ball around. I still think he's kind of inconsistent.
Yeah.
He's still making several mistakes. But he is the best thing that they had so far this season. He was able to throw 2 scores. If you see right here, touchdown pass. It doesn't matter how it get there. It's in the books. It's a touchdown pass. So right now, like I said, this team just lacks the value of having a quarterback, which hurts them. They also was able to have an interception by Tay, which we don't have on film, but I'm trying to tell you it was a great interception by Tay. He's actually an all-star, having a great season on this incredibly bad team. The question is he coming back to this team next season? Because this guy is a great playmaker. I know a lot of guys that can use a playmaker on both sides of the ball, which is what Tay gives you. Black Stallions, on the other hand, I mean, they're once again inconsistent. They was able to score this game, which is Mike, another all-star that you actually picked. Great season, you know what I mean? Able to make plays, as you can see right here, great touchdown catch. You know, so I mean,
But
I don't really know.
I'm gonna say this. You know, they was going towards a wire. You know, Black Stallions was driving. You know, they had a chance to actually seal the game and win the game.
It doesn't go into overtime.
Yes,
Right.
but Mike gets, I would say, a touchdown taken away. You know, the ref called it a tag before he ran into the end zone. It's a very close play. A lot of guys was coming to me talking about, oh, we should challenge that. We should look at the tape or whatever. You know, I'm going to stand with the ref and say, you know, that was a hard play. The way the angle was for the ref to see. You know, obviously I got the best angle and I don't see he got tagged. But, you know, the ref called it. There's a tag and it stood. And that's what led them into overtime. You know, a play like that is kind of hard to see when it happens. You know, so, you know, give the refs a break sometimes. You know, because these things are very hard to see when they happen.
Well, I think we should, I mean, I'm implementing to the league. I'm asking Tim. I'm asking the other commissioners. I think you should go to, if you have the ability to record these games, I think you should have a challenge flag. I think the way you do it to speed up the game, you have 1 challenge flag per half, which will give you actually 2. You know, just like the NFL rules, no challenges under 2 minutes, because you don't want it because the game is moving. You don't want to have to stop the game. So under 2 minutes, you don't have it. But then you look at it, or you could do it vice versa. You can have a challenge flag under 2 minutes in the game, which is, you figure that's the most crucial part of the game. And all you do is you have it either on out of bounds, inbounds catches, or touchdowns. That's it. Nothing else. You don't have the time for anything else. But actually, you can look at footage, and the footage actually supports what happens on the field and the referee miss. So that's my suggestion to the league. If you have enough cameramen that's going to record the whole game, and you being the cameraman, do you think it can be done?
I think if there's other, because it's kind of hard to have one cameraman filming 2 or 3 games at once. So I'm not going to get every play. You know, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to get every play. There's certain weeks that I'll have more plays than others. But if we're able to get more staff
and you're doing 1 game at a time,
yes.
If you was responsible for 1 game per field, if you was on this field and your field had 4 games, and you was able to record each game, would the technology be able to, if you was assigned to that field, to implement the challenge 1 per half? Do you think it will work?
I think it can work. I think as long as the shots are actually being, you know, taken at a certain angle, I think it can work. The only thing that is, if we implement this challenge, if the cameraman cannot get a shot that actually perfectly shows that the play should be overturned, then the call has to stand and you lose a timeout. That's something that we may implement for next season, but we're still in talks about that. But as of right now, these plays have to stand.
Right. I mean, ball so hard, lost this game once again. They struggled this year, unfortunately. You know, I think they're the type of team that just want the season to hurry up and end before they can start over. Julian is a great guy. I think they need a quarterback, and they have a lot of talent on this team. Black Stallions are a group team, but they need somebody that can stand out in front. I think Mike is that player.
Mike is that player, but then again, you know, mainly he's, you know, the receiver and he's the defensive guy, you know. One thing is, this is a passing league, fellas. We all know that this is a passing league. If you do not have a quarterback that can consistently get the ball to his receivers, you're not really going far. And we've seen that time and time again. So quarterback is crucial to survive in this league.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, one team is definitely in the playoffs. One team, which is ball so hard, is now officially eliminated from playoff contention. But they can wreck it for other teams now. They have a big game coming up against LPAC. LPAC needs that game. So the way I look at it, misery loves company. And if I'm going to be upset that I might not make the playoffs, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to ruin it for you. So if I was ball so hard, that's what I would get up in the morning thinking. You know what? I'm miserable. We had a bad season, but we're going to make it tough for the next team we play. We got something to play for. We want to ruin it for that next team. So if they can beat LPAC, that will actually hurt LPAC in the playoff standings and in playoff running. So that's what I want to do. And as you know, Mike Santos, who was the starter for Ball So Hard, used to play with these Rose G players. He won a championship with them as their third quarterback. So now he always felt he should start. And now he has an opportunity to battle against his coach / his brothers on the field. I'm hype about that game. That's going to be a big game. I know he's ready to come out. And now he got Swagger on defense. Mm-hmm. So if he makes those little mistakes, Swagger's taking it the other way. So right now we're going to come to a commercial. We'll be right back after this. Right now we got the MVR versus Riot Squad game. Fortunately for y'all that didn't know, during the beginning of the game, we had a very traumatic injury. Anthony / Pig, captain, heart and soul leader of this Riot Squad team, actually broke his femur and his tibia. He was rushed to the hospital. It was very traumatic for everybody. As you can see now, the guys went down on one knee, said a prayer for him. Tim led in prayer, and we're just praying for him because it was bad. This guy was in, like, his spirits was up. He was making jokes. We was told that he had to put a titanium rod in his leg. He's definitely done for the season. His career's in jeopardy. It's just crazy how things happen, But he had good spirits. Me and Ghost went to see him in the hospital. Unfortunately, we had just left. We had just went into surgery. He was able to meet his family, great family, high-spirited family. We actually was leaving. We left 2 balloons for him on behalf of the league. The one was a get well balloon, and one was a happy birthday balloon. Yeah. Unfortunately, because of budget cuts, meaning half your teams they pay our late fee, we had to go to the cheaper one, which is a happy birthday balloon. Mm-hmm. So it's his birthday, somebody's birthday somewhere, so we figured we'd give him that. And we actually got him an Elmo doll. Mm-hmm. For when he gets lonely at night, he could cuddle with the doll. I thought it was a good idea. So hopefully he had that waiting for him when he came back out of surgery.
No comment.
He actually said, because he was selected as an all-star, so he figured that's the only way for somebody on his team to get a spot in the all-star game by him getting hurt. So like I said, he was in great spirits, and we're praying for you, Pig. Get back soon. I know a lot of people may consider your career is over, but you're strong, you're young, and if it's meant to be, if God is meant for you to play, you'll play. So let's just see. We all wishing him luck. Unfortunately, it happened, Yeah. So sad to say we had to play this game. The game was played, and I think it was a little too much for Riot Squad. They ended up losing 14-6. I think it was too much.
It was still a close game. It was still a close game towards the end, but it was just, it looked like after that, their heart was kind of, damaged, I would say, because they didn't look the same, They were making plays, but then they were not producing the way they needed to. So ultimately, that's a traumatic injury for anybody's, teammate to go through. So it's understandable, but unfortunately, it led to them losing 14-6.
And now they actually dropped. There was a top, and now they dropped to 4-3. And they are, they beat Reckless, but they lost to LPAC. So this loss really hurts them. They fall back, and now they're 4-3 with 1 game left. They actually beat YMM last week, which was a big win. They Kill Bill, another touchdown bomb. Unfortunately, because we had Ghost recording so many games, we was unable to get it. But I mean, wow, this guy, he's healthy. He is a downfield guy.
Yeah.
And now that Rudy's confident and he got a guy to go downfield to, they're gonna be dangerous. They're gonna be dangerous. And even Rudy, he had another interception. This guy, we don't never talk about him defensively.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he, sneaks on there and he ends up, ending the game with at least one interception, almost every game. It's like, we got to really tally to see, where, because he's definitely an all-star.
Yeah.
No question about that.
Right.
But we just got to put where. It's like, is he going to be there for the quarterbacking position? Is he going to be there on defense? Like, we don't know because he's been doing it on both sides of the field. So that's a hard decision for us to make, Rudy. Like, you're not making it easy for us over there.
It's crazy right now. It's crazy because Kill Bill, who's finally healthy, might make the All-Star team because of Pig's injury. Mm-hmm. Because as you know, we try to take 2 players per team. And after all 2 players are selected, the quarterback doesn't count. So if your quarterback on your team is selected, you still have opportunity to have 2 people represent the team. And then after that, after 2 players are selected per team, then we'll fill in with all the other guys we think is all-stars. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's a great opportunity to play against each other in the All-Star game, East versus West. But again, Riot Squad got problems because losing Pig, that's your offensive player, which we saw bomb and catch last week against YMM. That's your captain of the defense. He runs his defense, and I think the main guy at linebacker that has to step up is Mojo. They need Mojo to be that impact player, not just a guy that can go rush the quarterback, a guy that can drop back in coverage and make plays. Because now that they don't have Pig, it's going to hurt them because now you're going to see Rudy not able to roam as he usually does because Pig is not on that defense. So, I mean, this team really got problems now. I think they can come away with it because of the emergence of Kill Bill. And I think they got to get Johnny more involved in the game. Johnny's an over-the-middle receiver. Johnny's a guy who's not scared to get dirty, great blocker. Mm-hmm. He ain't scared to go get hit and go get that ball. They need to step up. He needs to get the ball more. Light needs to step up and make better plays. Smites need to step up. They got a lot of guys that's known, crazed. They got guys that got to make plays. And now we get to MVR. 14-6. Pig got hurt, and they was only able to put up 14 points. Fred didn't throw this game. Hood threw this game. And once again, to me, this team lowers their game versus the team. It all depends on the team. And it seems like, I don't know, maybe they already clinched number 2. They can't go no higher, so maybe they taking a pedal.
I'm going to say this, and let me be the one that they hate me for saying this, but are they a team that's just lax? A team that doesn't necessarily take their opponents seriously? Or are they a team that are overrated?
Right.
I'm going to say that. Like, I'm sorry. It's like, that's how it looks. Are you a team that's just getting by on wins? Certain games you have good games, certain games you don't? Or are you a dominant team that's just playing downward, that's just lax and saying, oh, this team isn't nothing, we're going to BS and whatever, but these are the questions that should be asked now, Unless you show that you're serious and you're not playing no games, you're not going to put up only 14 points and then 6 on the other game against teams that you arguably should be smacking in these games,
Wait, so you say they should have smacked Riot Squad?
No, I'm not saying.
It sounds like that.
Listen,
that's what it sounds like to me.
But my
it sounds
point
like
is,
you're saying that they should have smacked Riot Squad.
But they came in, they merged 3 teams together. They came in with everybody believing, I'm pretty sure they believe, that they were the team that's going away with the championship. So if you're going to be that team that walks away with the championship, you can't be winning games 6-0 against underrated. And you can't win 14-6 against Riot Squad, a team whose rhythm and their heart was, shaken with an injury by Pig. You cannot struggle against teams like this.
I've said it all season. Their offense ain't as great as it may seem, only because I don't think Fred is as consistent because he doesn't have a big play receiver. Last year he had that guy Moss, and he was a big play. He stretched the field, and it would get other guys open. This season he doesn't have that. So the team has not been playing to what has been expected. I mean, don't get me wrong. They got some good guys. Ouija has not been what he was last year, on offense. You got Alex. Alex had a good game. He had 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. It's a good guy, a good game. So, I mean, they don't have anybody to stretch the field. Yomi wasn't big impact this game. So they don't have anybody as big as they were.
But then again, I say, they have guys that can step up and play. Like, I watched Macho play. He's a decent receiver himself,
yes.
He should be one guy to step up and say, you know what, I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah, he can go down.
They need somebody to step up and say, I'm going to be that guy. So far, their main offensive guy that I've been watching him play is Yomi.
Right.
He's been their main offensive guy, and he's basically a good tight end.
Right.
He's not a downfield guy.
No, he doesn't stretch the field.
So my point is, they got to have somebody to step up and say, I'm that guy, throw me the ball.
I mean, you got to look at it. The main team they got to face is the Browns. I picked them to play the Browns, go to the championship. And with the Browns secondary, if they don't have nobody to stretch that field, them corners with Pookie and Darnell, they're going to cheat. And Yomi and them guys that get open over the middle, they're going to jump those routes. So I think that these guys got to find somebody that can stretch the field. Because if you look several times during the game, Fred couldn't really connect to anybody downfield. So I think that's going to hurt them come playoff. Well. Exactly. Hood, same thing. He was frustrated with the guys because they weren't getting open. So to me, the offense needs to step it up. And again, people say Orlando's not really the coach of this team. They say he is a figurehead. He cannot control this team. I think Orlando needs to show his authority and show why he's the reigning coach of the year and really step it up and figure out these problems. Because if you wait until the playoffs to figure out who you are, you may be one and done. So we got to see what happens. We're going to go to the next game. Next game we're going to talk about is Untouchables versus Ball So Hard. Untouchables were able to win this and actually blank Ball So Hard 25-0. JR looked good this game. And his issue with him is he's inconsistent. But this game he was on point. He really was lights out this game. And they did what a lot of these other teams should do. They end the game early. So they actually move up now. They actually go to 4-2 with 2 games left. And they can really move up as high. The only highest they can go is the 3 seed. But they're actually making noise. I mean, Ball So Hard. I mean, it's not really much we can say about this game. What can you say about it?
I mean, there's not much. The funny thing is, towards the middle of the game or the end of the game, Mike Santos was taken out for Pedro, who didn't really do anything to help them win this game anyway because they didn't score. The only person I could say is Skinner, number 20, has 6 catches. That was pretty much the highlight of the day. And Julian has an interception. So, he's definitely their all-star pick. But other than that, I haven't noticed anything in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was really an ugly game. Unfortunately, we don't really have... I mean, we have this play right here, which is Junior's touchdown pass. Great throw. And then you have Mike Santos with this interception, which is why Junior, JR, was the touchdown pass. Junior, JR, same thing, fellas. You see the touchdown pass he threw. And then you got Mike Santos with this bad interception, which is the reason why he was taken out. I think Mike Santos is not really your answer. That's more of a guy that you came in. What's the guy name? Like the Jets quarterback, McElroy, that came in when Sanchez got yeah. It's like that. He's not a guy that that's gonna really.
But I'm gonna say this in terms of Mike Santos' defense. First of all, he doesn't really know these guys. He just was thrown on the team. They were already losing. They were out of rhythm. And he's there doing what he can. I mean, this is his first game. This is his first time playing in 4 years this season, So he's rusty. He doesn't know the guys. And ultimately, their rhythm is off. So it could be that, he's rusty. So you can't really expect much for a quarterback who hasn't thrown for 4 years and doesn't know the guys he's throwing to.
I mean, he was a 3rd string on Rosie's for a reason. Shaq was the starter. Obviously, still starting. He can still start. He plays in LES. He played here. Moses the backup. starter here. He throws in LES, and Mike was the third quarterback, which is because he is a guy that if somebody's hurt, whatever, he can throw the football, but he's not a great quarterback. So it is. You call a spade a spade. You know, he's a guy that can move the ball around the field, but don't expect him to come away with games. So I think right now, Bolsar needs to go and get himself a quarterback next season. You know, and I would put maybe Mike Santos to be my backup in case the quarterback gets hurt or whatever. Maybe Mike Santos could fight for a starting job. Like you say, you don't know these guys. Get a little better in shape come the summer and be ready for next season. Untouchables, JR's a good quarterback. He's a little inconsistent, but he's a good quarterback. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. So right now, I think we got to see where they end the season because it's another team nobody really going to want to play because this team has the youth and the experience in JR to make big plays. So we got to just see where that heads us out. The next game we're going to talk about will be Animal Planet versus Reckless. Well, Reckless was able to win this game 24-6. Animal Planet wasn't able to do much. Sean did have a touchdown. Storm had a tackle and a catch. It's not really much to say. I mean, I don't know. What did you see from Reckless?
One, I could say that Bishop has another touchdown to go on his list. You know, he's up there, you know, as for MVP of the league, you know, because he's been doing it day in, day out on both sides of the field. Here, of course, okay, he didn't really play too much defense. You know, he didn't really have any stats on defense, but he was able to come up with a big touchdown. As you see here, deep pass by Bug right to Bishop. Barely defended, you know, easy touchdown, I would say. You know, and this is something that Bug has been doing since he came in after Dogs was hurt. So, Bug is another person that, you know, he should be up there for quarterback of the year. Yeah. I mean, he turned his team around. Yes. And that's one quality I can say deserves quarterback of the year.
Or MVP, because remember, the team started out 0-2. Bug came in, once he became the main starter, I believe they won 3 straight. So, I mean, this guy's a quarterback. You know, he plays in other leagues. He plays. You know, so I think, you know, his team is to be reckoned with. And
then one thing about him is he spreads the ball. I mean, he throws to Filet, he throws to Bishop. I see George has a touchdown here. Solo has a touchdown. I mean, he spreads the ball to all his players.
So he's definitely an all-star.
Definitely.
We got to see how the season ends, how the numbers go, but he should definitely be talked about as Offensive Player of the Year, talked about as Quarterback of the Year, talked about as MVP. Something got to give because just the way he was able to lift this team is what an MVP is all about. Just the way he was able to put up numbers like he was supposed to is what an offensive player is about. And usually we try not to put a quarterback for Offensive Player of the Year because of the numbers.
Yes.
Because obviously they touch the ball so much and you don't want to. But I think.
But ultimately he should be talked about as MVP because he turned the team around, and that's the quality of MVP. Where would they be without him?
That's true. But now we could talk about the Reckless and YMM game. And like they say, what makes you laugh also makes you cry. Because this game, YMM was able to shut Bug down. And now he started making mistakes. And now the big man on campus was Ralph, who actually threw 4 touchdown passes. Who is definitely, he can be up there for Quarterback of the Year. You know, coming in late and making an impact from the beginning. He's definitely the all-star. He's definitely the third quarterback from the East making the all-star team, which is the quarterbacks would be Bug, it would be Rudy, and it would be Ralph. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this guy, Ralph, he definitely has the strongest arm in the league. Nobody throws a better deep ball than him. The only issue is he's a deep ball quarterback. Now, I think Bug tried to shoot out with him, throwing the ball downfield, and it caused Bug throwing 2 interceptions. And to me, Rico definitely should be up there for Offensive Player of the Year and also definitely MVP.
Yes, he's definitely the MVP of their team.
Yeah.
Because he does it on both sides of the field, and ultimately I feel he's more dominant on offense than on defense, but he does have some great defensive plays as well. And he's a person that just came out of nowhere, just like this team. And I feel that he's a person to really be watched. As soon as you know YMM is coming on that field to play against you, you look for Rico because he's going to make big plays.
And he'll be the guy that look a little like Rick Ross with the little beard going on. But trust me, you're going to know Rico. If y'all guys that don't know him, you're going to know him because this guy does a lot of this. But he got a lot of skills to back it up.
Now, in terms of reckless, I would say, Bug had 2 touchdown passes, but he also threw 2 interceptions. I would say this is one of the games, the same way that they beat LPAC, this is a game where they were already out of it. They were tired. They were exhausted, and they weren't really in the game. But my point is, if these are games that you can't afford to lose, then this is not really a real excuse.
But this is the issue why making the number 1 and number 2 seed is important, because we've seen a lot of teams that had doubleheaders. They didn't do too well. So that's why you only want to make the 1 and 2 seed, for you don't have to play 2 games in one day.
Because these are definitely teams that play in other leagues, so you're already tired coming from somewhere else. You don't want to have a doubleheader in the playoffs, to try to make it to the championship, because that's not a good look.
And once again, like you said, Bishop, he didn't have a touchdown catch. He had 4 catches, but he had an interception. Another reason why he is my pick to be league MVP. He's my pick because the guy is dominating on both sides of the team and on both sides of the ball. I know he's sitting out talking about Bug, but he's been here since day 1.
Yes.
And Bishop has impacted since day 1. So I think he's definitely up there for MVP. So, we got to sit down and watch. This is the last week, and we'll get an idea of what's going on. But
I can say one thing. You guys are not making it easy for us. Not at all, because
these numbers are crazy. Again, right now, the YMM took a loss last week that hurt Caesar for Coach of the Year, but then now they come back with a big win against Reckless. So he's in the running. I think it's between him and I think it's between Jingo for Coach of the Year. I wouldn't necessarily say Orlando because you figure MVR, they've been playing up and then they play down. They play up and play down. I understand your record, but they haven't really dominated. And they won games barely against teams that they should have destroyed. So I think that's hurting them. And I think even in the East, there's nobody really to say challenges Jingo and challenges Caesar for Coach of the Year. I think the best coach is in YMM Caesar.
Yes.
That can win that award.
Reason why is because Jingo has pretty much, they've had practically a perfect season.
Right.
So there was no real challenge there. But YMM, Caesar, great guy, but he has a lot of hot heads on his team.
And for him to be able to control that team and make them 3-3. Remember, one of the losses that they have was a forfeit that they didn't even play. And that's because they came in late. And that would have been against the Browns. So the great thing about it, we'll never get to see coach against coach, Browns and YMM, to actually see if they are better than the Browns.
Hey, maybe
championship.
A championship game. Who knows?
Other than that, I don't see anybody Reckless definitely can do it, but this loss hurts them to win that. You takes a strong coach and captain in Horse to have a team lose their starting quarterback, but still come back and possibly take the number 1 seed. I think it all depends on how they finish to see if they can sneak in and take that Coach of the Year. But I think Coach of the Year already looked to as Jingo because this team has been consistent and beating the teams they needed to beat. And they got a team together and they're family and they really to play and beat anybody. This game we got is Browns versus Newbury. This game wasn't even close. You said it was close to coming to the half.
Yes.
I think the Browns played around with them. This new kid, Mr. Sunday, was the quarterback. Brian actually let him start this week. This kid, Mr. Sunday, actually was mentored by Reggie on the Go-Getters. So you see the kid's number's number 17. Mm-hmm. And we all know Reggie's number is number 17.
Yeah.
So it was like a teacher against student. I think the teacher kind of taught this kid some new lessons. And Reggie already said it. This kid got great speed, great arm, lack brain power. And that's what it is usually with these young kids. And that's why they're young and they're youth and you make mistakes. And Reggie just humiliated them 28-7. Browns got in, got out. Found Ruben for a touchdown. Found Pop for 2 touchdowns. Nutt had a 2-point conversion. This team, the Browns, is not here to joke. They slaughtered them early. They let them think they were in it, and then they put their foot on their throat and killed them in the second half.
I mean, what I can say about New Breed is, just in this game in particular, they're too small for a team like the Browns. They're a small team. They have young kids playing with them, and you know the adults showed the kids how it's done, pretty much. You know, and I mean, of course, you know, Mr. Sunday threw a touchdown and an extra point, and towards the half to make it 14-7, but then he threw 2 interceptions towards the end of the game. So, you know, they pretty much got taught a lesson this game. That's all I can say, because they have nothing on defense.
Absolutely, and Reggie threw no interceptions. He was actually lights out, and you know, this team has bigger fish to fry, so they didn't worry about New Breed. They went in, they wanted to end it early, they wanted to get their guys relaxing, and now right now New Breed falls to 1-4, and now they have to play Brick Squad, which is the next thing we're going to talk about. So right now the Browns clinched the #1 seed. They're 7-0. They got one more game remaining against Brick Squad, but they clinched. So the question is, do they want to go and try to match that undefeated record that Rose G's had? But you got to remember, Rose G's were all in one division. This year we have 2 different divisions. So if they go undefeated and they're able to win the championship, what would you do? Do you say the Browns are better than the Rose G's, what the Rose G's have done? Because if you look at it, their defense were about the same. You know, their offense, I think I will put the Browns maybe a little higher than Rose G's, but they're kind of on the same level because of Moses on that offense. So you got to sit down. I mean, we're still early. The Browns may lose in the playoffs. But my thing is they're out there to match what Rose G's did. And I think given the schedule and given that we had so many more teams, I think you would have to put the Browns' accomplishments higher.
Because they're, you know, ultimate, if you just say it, there's more competition now than there was in the last season when Rose G's was playing.
Oh, come on. So you're taking away from that defeat because you say there's more competition.
But there is. Honestly, first of all, there's more teams, and then there's more, like, I gotta say there's more competition, because if you look at it last year, the one team that was, you know, they had an MVR who was then never scared. They had the Blackhawks. You know, they had, you know, the Renegades, even though they had guys from the Spartans, you know, from BFL, but they weren't all there. So, I mean, then they had Brick Squad, who was TNA then, but I don't feel it was as good as they are now. So, then there's the Bandits, and then there's, the Unknowns, who, sorry to say, I actually played a couple games for, but we didn't really do too much. So, how can you argue with me?
Sorry. Kind of dozed off because of the nonsense you're speaking.
I mean,
let me tell you something.
come on.
This team went undefeated last year.
Yes.
Whoever you put in front of them, they beat. That's all that matters.
Okay.
Don't sit down and tell me the competition was different.
I'm not taking nothing from them. They were a championship team from beginning to end.
They humiliated and beat the teams they were supposed to beat. Don't forget, let's not forget, Browns won 2 games in overtime.
Yes.
Against 2 top teams. So let's not say that they would have beat the Rose G's. Unfortunately, we probably never know.
We will never know.
It's one of them games that you say, well, what would happen if, you know, Michael Jordan would have faced the dominant 2000 Lakers team? Who would have won that? You know, we don't know. Or the Miami Heat team.
So all we can do, my point is, all we can do is speculate. And one opinion is not worse than the other. I have an opinion, so do you. I'm not saying Rose G's was a horrible team. I'm not saying that they weren't a championship team. They were.
Who's better?
I gotta say the Browns. What do you say? Let's answer that question. I gotta say the Browns.
Mookie, lockdown corner.
He wasn't with them last year.
We're talking about Rose G's championship last year.
Okay.
Mookie, shut down corner. J-Star, very physical. Mike was in great shape and 100% healthy. Moses played great safety last year. These are just the impact. Okay, I'll give you Eric because Eric kind of had sophomore struggles. He was a great rookie year, sophomore struggles.
But this is the thing.
Give you that.
I'm not saying that they didn't have a great staff. They had a stacked team. They did. All I'm saying is there was less competition then than there is now. That's all I'm
This is a
saying.
shout out to Swagger. Bring the Rose G's back.
And you know what? On that, we both agree.
People are doubting that championship run, and I understand.
I didn't doubt it.
He sound like he's doubting it.
No, I didn't doubt it.
Understand what you're
all
saying.
I'm saying is I wish I would have seen them.
We
this
spoke,
season.
and the issue was if I don't have my strong Rose G undefeated championship team, I will not bring that name back, and I respect that.
True.
But
okay.
if he could get them guys together, J-Star, Mookie, all these guys that helped win a championship, bring them back and show these guys what y'all can do. That's my shout out to Swagger. You know, shout out to you, Swagger. Get
Because,
that
and
done.
the thing is, they had guys. I mean, they had, you know, in other leagues I watched them. You know, when they were, you know, the Rose G's or what was it, the Warriors or.
Don't go to the Warriors. Okay. Don't be disrespectful.
Okay.
'Cause that was my team.
All right.
Don't do it
what
to yourself.
were they when they were playing in the BFL? What were they?
When? Last season? The Wolfpack.
Just passing.
Wolfpack.
Wolfpack. Okay. When I watched the Wolfpack team, they had a team that I felt could have made noise and probably come home with a championship.
But Wolfpack and Rosie are the same thing. You know what I mean?
But then they had new guys. They didn't have Chi last year. They didn't have the young Josh last year. I mean, they had guys that could have produced.
We could talk about this forever, but we're going to sit down, and that's going to be a question we're going to put up on the website. You know, and these for the people that know. Who do you think would have been better? Rose G's, undefeated last year, or Browns, if the Browns go undefeated this year? And I know what the guy said, Mercury, whatever, from the Dolphins. They're not talk to me when you're on the block. You know, so I guess Rose G's looking at it, you just finishing up the season. Call me when you're on the block. When you at least go into the Western Championship to go to the championship game, that's when you say, okay, maybe this team could go undefeated.
Okay.
But they still got a game left. They still got to get through the playoffs, and then we'll talk about it. So we'll talk about the last game, and the last game was New Breed against Brick Squad. This ended up being a great game. Unfortunately, the camera ended. We had no more tape, no more battery being out there doing 10 games. But we'll take you to the main part of the game. I know that this team, New Breed, starts to drive down the field. And they throw a bomb to their 6'1 receiver, who actually outjumps everybody to put them up a score. Put them up by 1. They're celebrating their hype. They kick the ball off. Brick Squad gets the ball. And I'll let you take it from there.
All I'm saying is, you know, they had a couple plays. Did they run any plays before?
They ran like 2 plays and then crazy throws.
He throws a deep pass right to Prodigy in the end zone to win the game.
Over the same 6'1 dude who caught the touchdown to put New Breed up. And I asked, you know, I couldn't believe it. You know, I couldn't believe what happened. And, you know, this man was hype and he let people know this is a team to beat. Did we get an interview for that game? I don't think we got an interview.
No, we didn't.
But I know Crazy was saying that they know how he is. Mm-hmm. He's not scared to go at anybody. And he went right at the same guy that put them up a touchdown.
And that speaks on confidence and that speaks on heart. Things that they've been having since the beginning of the season. You know why? You can't take nothing away from this Brick Squad team for what they've accomplished these last 2-3 weeks.
Absolutely.
I mean, not to take anything from New Breed, I would say, yo, this one receiver, where was he? This whole season. This is supposed to be somebody who should be in the All-Star game having, you know, how many touchdowns they shot? They should be winning games with this man.
I mean, unfortunately, they starting quarterback Nelson, who threw against Browns, was ejected.
Yes.
Early in this game for cursing.
Who was Mr. Sunday?
Yeah, high-head kid. You know, obviously didn't listen, got ejected. And then, like I said, towards the end of the game, we're going to talk about Brick Squad. You know, Milo, again, with 3 sacks. That gives him, I think he's up there in double digits.
Yes.
This guy is dominant. He has a few interceptions. I think he leads the league in tackles. This guy is up there for Defensive Player of the Year. And I think what's going to hurt Sean, who's also up there, is he didn't have any sacks this week. So I think that's going to hurt him. But my thing with Milo is Sean and Milo are actually the top 2 guys for defensive player of the year, and they both play ball giver. Milo is playing a little bit different role because Milo lines up at ball giver and at linebacker.
Yes.
Sean is just a straight ball giver. But these guys got the best stats on defense. You know, only one close to him is Bishop with 5 interceptions, I believe.
Yes.
So, I mean, these guys, Milo lost it last year to Ouija, who had 7 interceptions. Milo had 10 sacks last year. He broke his record for sacks this year. And I think, I mean, listen, we're going to have a new trend because we give the awards to this, it don't matter what position you play. And I think Milo's definitely a defensive player of the year. And then you still have Spaz, who started showing up ever since he's moved that tight end. Great game. Made some great clutch catches. Great clutch catches. Then you got Loso, who makes plays. Then you got Copper, who makes plays. Then you got Prodigy. You got question mark number 80. These guys make plays. And I mean, you can't sleep on them. Nobody wants to face Brick Squad in the playoffs.
But I said this from day one. I said this is a team to watch. One, I like their energy, I like their heart, and I like that every game is taken seriously.
Even what's that? Preacher
Yes.
has 4 catches,
Yes.
5 catches.
He's
several
another
big catches over the middle.
He's another good big tight end for Brick Squad. But I would say one thing is, unlike when we were talking about NVR who plays down to their competition, Brick Squad takes every single game seriously. They fight for every game, and that's one thing that led to their 3-game winning streak so far.
So right now, we're gonna go to Player of the Week. My Player of the Week, I'm gonna actually give it to Brick Squad, the team, because they won. We say 3 straight. They started to make noise in this playoff run. And they got a lot of heart, and they're not scared of anybody. So I got to give the Player of the Week to that whole squad. Because I've been killing that squad a lot this year for being inconsistent. But they actually showed up against New Breed, and now they are 3-4, and they have a big game this week. And I think that this team is going to fight the Browns until the final whistle. So I'm going to give the whole Brick Squad team my Player of the Week. And who would you say is yours?
I mean, the one guy that I can say I think deserves Player of the Week this week is, it's kind of hard, but I would give it to Ralph, the quarterback for YMM, because he came up big in this game.
Yeah.
And this is a big win that they got over Reckless.
Yeah, the team in their division.
Yes, so he performed at a high caliber. When he's on that deep ball, he is on that deep ball, and there's nobody in this league, I feel, that can challenge him on that deep ball. There's other quarterbacks that are, I would say, better oriented altogether, but on that deep pass, Ralph has it down pat.
Absolutely. What we're gonna do is we're gonna let you know the team, everybody in the league had, we having a man down sequence. Basically what's going to happen is on Saturday, a bunch of players is going to sit down and show shout-out, show a little love to a pig who's done for the season. He broke his tibular and his femur, and he broke his tibular, so he's out for the year. He's in good spirits. He still feels his team can win the championship without him. But we're going to give a shout-out to him because he's been through a lot, and he's still 100% heart. And another one we're going to give is a big shout out to the players. We had a lot of guys this week. As we told you at the show last week, Saturday was the 14th anniversary of our niece's. Her birthday was Saturday. Her death was on Friday. So we had a lot of guys actually. We had one guy with her name in his cleats.
Yes, and then I could single out Dutch from Ball So Hard, who stitched our niece's name on his jersey.
Yeah.
And that's something that really touched me. He doesn't he doesn't know her. He saw our tribute. He spoke to me. He said, he had some losses in his family. He said he lost his son a couple years back. So, shout out to him for, showing that tribute, and it's good that we have guys with, that care about one another,
right.
That we give a tribute, and other guys are, no question, are here for everybody. He was here for us, the other guy with the cleats was here for us as well. So,
And we just gonna ask the league. We ask everybody in the league to show your support for Pig.
Yes.
You know, those videos is very important. And we ask everybody to wear, you know, some type of tribute, put his number on that, you know, tape, headband, whatever, with number 21 on it. Tell him to get well, you know, get real quick. That's what we're gonna say, because we all football players. You know what I mean? So we're gonna put, I would say, get well quick. So, you know, you put a GWQ, 21 GWQ, get well quick. Because that's what we want him to do. We want him back. We hope he gets back. And now show that the league is together on everything we do. So I asked a lot of players. I'm giving a shout out to everybody in the league. Let's get them little, it could be a wristband. It could be a headband. You can get some tape. Put it up. Number 21 is his number. And remember, GWQ. And now we're going to be ready to wrap up the show. We got, like I said, it's very interesting. The only thing now being clinched is Browns clinched number 1 seed. They're 7-0, so they cannot be no lower than number 1. They already clinched the first seed. They won a division in the West. MVR 6-1. They're the number 2 seed. That's locked. They can't finish no lower than 2. And now you got Brick Squad, who locked in the number 5 seed. They can't be no lower than 5. You know, I think they can possibly move up. No, I don't know. Yeah, it's a toss-up, but they can't finish no lower than 5. And then you have New Breed, who is locked in as a 6 seed, can't go no higher, can't finish no lower. They got the last spot in the West. So I think maybe this week you try. They should start their quarterback. You know, Mr. Sunday, let him start. Let him get prepared, because he should be their starter going into the playoffs.
Yeah, but the main thing is you gotta have your receiver, big impact receiver that they had against the game, with the game against Brick Squad. He has to be there. He has to be your main guy out there.
And then the East is up in the air. We won't know the East until the end of week 8. We won't know the playoff standings. So we'll let y'all in on that. We'll see y'all next week. Come back to the show. We'll talk about All-Stars. We'll talk about all that good stuff. So we'll see y'all guys next week. This is Jay, a.k.a. Stephen J. Smith.
And I'm Ghost.
And we'll see y'all next week.